Yesterday we revised resistance, in which we studied that resistance is it's a ratio of V and I that we derive from Ohm's law, and it is actually the property of the conductor to oppose the flow of current through it. Then we learned about the SI unit of resistance. What is the SI unit of resistance? That is Ohm, which is 1 volt upon 1 ampere. How we got this 1 ohm? Because resistance we know from Ohm's law we got it is V upon I. So the SI unit of potential difference is volt and the SI unit of current is ampere. So 1 volt upon 1 ampere is 1 ohm. Okay, so 1 ohm is 1 volt upon 1 ampere. We've also learned yesterday the cause of resistance, which I told you. Now today we'll be studying about the resistor, what it is. To understand the term resistor, we have to first understand the difference between resistor and resistance. As I told you yesterday, that resistor is actually a conductor and resistance is the property of that conductor. So if in simple terms I have to explain you, or if I have to explain you in terms of noun, this is actually a common noun and this is an abstract noun. So this is actually a thing which you can see, and this is its property, resistance, which you can measure. Okay, so if I have to denote it, how will I denote resistor? The symbol for resistor is this. Okay, now the symbol for this is this. Now what is resistor? Resistor is actually a conductor which allows the flow of current through it, but it offers some resistance to the flow of current. Okay, so generally we have resistors like nichrome, which we use in our labs when we are conducting the experiment like Ohm's law. Okay, now the next term which we'll be learning is variable resistance. Now variable, as we can see, now variable, vary means something which changes. So if we talk about variable resistance, that means resistance which is changing. Okay, now why do we feel the need of changing this resistance? We change the resistance when we want to change the value of current. Okay, so to change the value of current flowing through a conductor or a material, or a resistor flowing through a conductor or a resistor without changing the value of potential difference across it. So if we don't want to change the value of potential difference, but we want to change the value of current, we change the resistance. Okay, now what is the symbol for this variable resistance? The symbol for this variable resistance is a resistor we make, and we make this arrow. Okay, now in labs sometimes we want to vary this resistance. So in labs we do it with the help of rheostat. So the symbol for rheostat is this. Though we most commonly for variable resistance we can use this as well, but to be more accurate, this is the symbol for variable and this is the symbol for rheostat. So what is rheostat if you have to define? Rheostat is actually a component or a device to vary the resistance so that we can change the value of current without changing the potential difference. Okay, now after this, now since we have learned what is resistance, we know what is resistance. It is obstruction to the flow of current. So on the basis of resistance, we can classify the substances or materials into various categories. Okay, so we have good conductors. Now, in a layman language, we always have been talking about good conductors. Like we have silver, we have aluminium, we have copper, and we know that why they're good conductors, because they allow the flow of current through it. Now, so if I have to describe it in terms of resistance, that means they offer very less resistance to the flow of current. Okay. Now, the second one is poor conductors. Poor conductors are those which offer considerable resistance. That means as compared to good conductors, they offer much higher resistance. So if I have to talk about the poor conductors, we have examples like nichrome. These are actually the alloys. Okay. Now we have insulators. We know the meaning of insulators. Insulators are those which offer very high resistance, or the insulators are the ones through which current cannot flow. So in terms of resistance, if I have to describe them, then insulators are which offer extremely high resistance to the flow of current. That means current cannot flow through it. So we have examples like rubber, dry